What does QBE's Classic Cover mean for me? Well, saving money on my home insurance is easy with great value features. So even before I claim, I know I've made the right choice. QBE's Classic Cover, for sure. Give them a call.
Jarrad Schofield.
G'day, Jeff.
You had a great playing career. Was coaching something that you always wanted to move into?
Probably not originally from the start, but obviously towards the end of your career, you sort of look at the fact that footy's given you so much, so you look at what can you do to give back to the game that's given you such a great life. So, and obviously being back at Subiaco and seeing how such a great club evolve from when I was 12 years of age, so that was probably the process that took place, and the Colts is where I started.
Well, you've played under some great coaches in the AFL, you know, Mick Malthouse and Mark Williams. Which of those two probably had the biggest influence on you?
Probably Choco in the end. When I moved, when I was 23, I was at the crossroads with my career. I probably didn't really appreciate Mick at the time, being 17, straight out of school, and had him for 6 years, and probably didn't appreciate how thorough and knowledgeable he was as a coach. But Choco definitely, by the end of my career, had the major influence.
Well, with Choco, if he was to see you coaching now, would he think you'd be taking the piss out of him or copying his methods?
I think he'd probably think I'm copying his methods with the ranting and raving I might do at times, and the odd spray I might give. And because I was never one to like a spray from Choco, so I'm always mindful of making sure that if I do give a stern couple of words to a player, it's got to make sure it's calculated and well delivered. So Choco definitely gave me a couple. With
Colts, it's all about development. And it's interesting to look at this senior group at the moment. At least half of them have been coached by you.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Obviously, the last 2 or 3 years, the club's going through a bit of a transition period. And yeah, when you see some of the boys playing reserves footy, you look at those fellas and you see how they've developed over the last couple of years. I still think there's a lot of room for the improvement with that bunch of players. There's some quality kids there. Good character type kids is obviously what we're trying to evolve down at the Colts program as well. And a couple of boys playing league footy already, which is pleasing to see. So hopefully a few more boys play league footy over the coming years.
From an outsider, your coaching seems to focus on skill development, preparation, structures and discipline. Would that be right?
Yeah, you're right on the money there. You know, probably my main strength as a player was my skills. And I think first and foremost, to move up the grades, you've got to be able to kick handball and catch the footy. So I've really focused on the last couple of years on the skills of the boys, and then all the game sense and the structures, and they all take place, because if you can't obviously perform the skill, well then game plans and structures don't perform either. So yes, but definitely the three things you focus on there are the three things that us as coaches down the Colts we focus on.
Now, Jarrad, I spoke to an ex-SUBI player who played with you here in the 90s, and I told him that you're pretty hard on the guys, and he was quite impressed. And he made the comment that, you know, having played himself under Eddie Pitter, it was about time we had a coach who was pretty hard on the young fellas.
I'm hard but fair. And I'd like to know who that player was because even when I came through as a young kid, you know, it takes you sometimes a bit of a while to adapt to the hard words or the hard training, and all I've tried to instill into the boys is preparation for league footy, and I suppose my background's been enabled me to be able to obviously channel that into the boys, and some boys can cope, some boys battled with it. But I'd like to think that the ones that are going to make it at this footy club or beyond are the ones that have stayed true to it and have really sort of backed in what I've been trying to enforce down at the Colts.
And you've got some pretty good assistants down there with Homer and Vinesy and the other guys, so you want to pay tribute to them?
Yeah, no, they've been fantastic. The first couple of years it was a bit tough. I had Toddy Holmes on board in my first year. Last year was a bit tough through work commitments of some of the assistant coaches, but definitely this year, having Paul Vines come back to the club from league level, and then obviously Todd Holmes back on board, and Mark Enders, who's been around for a while, Brett Wen, having that, and Jace Hoskins as well, who's been very good with the development of some of the 15, 16-year-olds coming into the program. To have a support structure like that, it's definitely made my job a lot easier, less stressful.
Well, all the best for the rest of the year, and well done on what the Colts have done so far.
Thank you, Jeff.